Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Janice R. Love, also known as the First Lady Coach, and I equip Christian women to have the clarity, the confidence, and the courage to walk boldly into the destiny for which she was chosen by being perfectly who God created her to be. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about psychological safety and why it's important that women have it in the church. All right, let's go. Tonight, we are going to be talking about why it's important for women to have psychological safety at church. Now, psychological safety is kind of a workplace term that has come around in years. Maybe it's been around for several years, but it's become a little more prominent here in the last several years, especially as it relates to women. Because, first of all, we know that the workplace is not always the safest place for women. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But to define psychological safety, tongue twister, huh? To define it, first of all, let me give you a definition that helps it to make sense because it's not always psychological safety, doesn't always mean getting along or that kind of thing. It has a much deeper meaning. So let me give you a definition. It's the belief that one will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or making mistakes. So you feel like you have that freedom to be able to speak up, to be able to have ideas, to ask questions, to lead, to or if you have concerns, that you feel free to voice those things without being retaliated against or again made to feel unsafe. Now, again, this term has shown up in the workplace, especially for women, because women have been challenged, whether it is been the gender inequality or sexism or discrimination. Women have continued to fight for our rights over the years. So again, this is all about why it's important that women have psychological safety in the church. All right, so let me just get right into it because I got a lot to cover tonight, and I don't want to just spend all my time trying to define it because you know what it is. If you have experienced a lack of psychological safety in any place that you have been, then you already know what it means, right? Okay, so let's talk about why it's important that we have it in the church. And the very first reason is because we know the workplace is not a safe place for women. It is a source, can be a source of chronic stress. Okay. And so let's just talk a little bit about it. Let me give you some data, a little bit of statistics here. I said that word right this time. Let me give you some statistics. The workplace, they say, is a place of chronic stress for women. 42% of working women in the US report experience in gender discrimination in the workplace. 1 in 4 women say they earned less than a man who was doing the same job. There have been Gallup polls. In fact, there was one done in 2020. And if you are a Black woman, you have an even more unique experience when it comes to your experience in the workplace. We, as Black women, are the least likely to feel valued and treated with respect. We're also likely to feel less likely as a member of the team, a valued member of the team. And Black women often feel like that as coworkers, they are not often treated fairly. Now, let me give you this one. 60% of Black women who are employed, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor statistics, are disproportionately represented in lower wage jobs like food service and healthcare assistants, and they are more likely than any other racial ethnic group to have a full-time minimum wage job. All right. Now just think about some of this for a minute. All of these things can lead to chronic stress. Again, whether it's again just not feeling valued in the workplace, feeling psychologically unsafe, where you maybe feel like you can't make any mistakes without being punished, whether you feel like you cannot ask questions, or you feel like, again, that you are just simply not even being treated fairly. All of this creates psychological um, unsafety, basically. And this has effects on our health. Now, we know that stress is a problem for us, and that when we are exposed to chronic stress over a long time frame, which, again, think about the amount of time that we spend at work. When we are exposed to that over an extended time frame, then that creates problems for our health. Now, without going into a biology lesson, because I can do it now, having majored in biological psychology in college, I can definitely go into some hormone stuff that'll just leave you like, okay, I don't want to know anymore. Okay, but we know that when we experience chronic stress, what happens is our body emits hormones, right? And they're stress hormones like cortisol. And when this happens, when our body emits these hormones, basically our body's going to fight or flight. We're familiar with that because our bodies were designed so that when we are presented with danger or we are afraid, then what happens is the hormones are released. It sends whatever it needs to our extremities, to our different parts of our bodies, so that we can, if we had to run away from a bear, we would be able to do that. So what happens is when we are experiencing chronic stress continuously, what happens is we stay in that fight or flight syndrome much longer than we need to, right? And you kind of stay up. So you become agitated. We know that it causes your blood pressure to go up. We know all these things happen when these stress hormones are released. Now, I didn't go too deep into there, did I? You know that if you get scared or if you feel unsafe, these hormones are released, and again, they can stay in your body. And what happens when they stay in your body, again, is you're in that fight or flight syndrome all the time. And those eventually can lead to health problems, whether it's you having headaches, having fatigue. It can lead to depression. It can lead, of course, to sleep problems. Anybody got any sleep problems because you're stressed out at work? Or how many of you are gaining weight because you have been stressed out at work? I've seen people start new jobs and put on 25 pounds, and it's not because your coworkers want to eat all the time and have parties all the time, and it's not because they bring in donuts every morning. Sometimes it's simply related to the stress that they are experiencing. So all I'm trying to say here is that the workplace is not doing it for us. In fact, it is making us sick. So we as women have to find a place where we can not have that unsafe environment, where we can thrive, where we can feel safe enough to ask questions, to contribute, to make a difference, again, without feeling like we are going to be mistreated. All right. So what that means is the one of the safest places for women is in the church. And let me talk a little bit about that, because we would automatically think perhaps that the safest place might be in our homes, but data is showing that the rate of abuse, of domestic abuse, and a domestic violence is a challenge. So if a woman can't feel safe at work, somewhere she's got to spend a whole lot of time, and then if she can't feel safe at home, and again, I know that there's some very, very happy people, but there are a lot of women who are suffering. So where can she go in order to feel psychologically safe? So I am recommending that place is the church. All right. So going to church, first of all, being a member of a church has already been proven that it's actually good for our health. And why is that? Turns out there's several reasons for that. Women, first of all, did you know that there are more women in churches than there are men? You probably already know that. If you went to church this morning, if you looked around, you probably noticed that there were more women in attendance than men. And there's a reason for this. There are reasons for this. But again, when you look around, and if you even ask yourself the very reasons why you attend church, you might answer like this. You might say you go to church because you want to get closer to God, right? That's a very common reason why we go to church. It's also a place where we can begin to instill that foundation, that good foundation in our children. So oftentimes when we were young mothers, we definitely wanted to make sure we took our children to church. It's a place where we can become a better person. It's again because we can grow stronger in our relationship with God. We can learn more about Him, and we can learn more about His love for us. Okay, then women especially find comfort, right, in times of trouble by being a part of a church or attending church. Um, Women also love it that they can relate often to sermons that are preached. And one of the most important reasons why women attend churches is to be a part of a community. So again, we found that well, one study you all said that women were even more religious than men. Pew Research found this, that women were actually more religious than men. But I don't want to get into that, right? But again, what the fact that women are willing to speak more about their personal challenges and in the presence of other women at church is a way to have a much better experience psychologically. Okay, when we can go to a church and feel psychologically safe, meaning that we can participate, we can contribute, we can share ideas, we can again support one another, then that helps us to feel more psychologically safe. And again, if you're not experiencing that stress that comes along with feeling psychologically unsafe, then obviously it is more healthier for your body, right? And again, for your spirit and your mind. All right, so I do want to put a warning out there, because there has been some women, because of church hurt, and women who are in certain positions, such as pastors' wives, sometimes, who sometimes don't feel that, let me read something to you, that there have been cases, again, that show women feel more harassed and objectified at church than they do at work. I hope this is not happening in your church. If you do, if it's happening, you need to let me know about that, because again, the church is supposed to be a place where we can go to get renewed, to get refreshed, to get healed, to find communion with one another, to find community. And again, if we go there and feel that we are psychologically unsafe, then shame on us for allowing that to happen to any woman. All right, so I'm not going to go there. But again, because sometimes women are not safe in homes, the church is the very place where women can come together and provide a space where we are psychologically safe. But I'll tell you right now, not all churches are equipped to do that. There's some churches, lots of churches have women's ministries, right? But are those focused on being that moral support for women as we go through life's challenges? Are they equipped to be able to help her to find solutions, to also again to feel like she has a place to go, somebody to talk to? Well, unfortunately, the churches often fall short of that as well. If you're a member of a church that is doing that, then I congratulate you, and I pray that you continue to be a blessing to the women that you serve. But if you cannot find that in your church, and again, not all women can find that, sometimes because of who they're married to. For instance, as a pastor's wife, it wasn't always safe and comfortable for me to go and express the challenges that I might be having. So all I'm trying to say is there is a place where women can go to feel psychologically safe. And you already know where I'm going, because that is why I created Pearls Perfected Institute. And I'd love for you to visit me at pearlsperfectedinstitute.com, because again, my goal is to create a space, a safe space where women, Christian women, can transform troubles that were meant for their bad into their blessed. So you knew I was going there. So all you have to do is sign up. Pearls Perfected Institute is growing. We are progressing, and it is a place where a woman, whatever her needs are, especially as a Christian woman, she can find them, whether she's dealing with family issues, financial issues, maybe she's dealing with health issues, and wants to find resources or get the support that she needs. Then this is the place that I am building, that safe space where every woman can feel psychologically safe. All right. So anyway, again, if we can't find it anywhere else, the church is definitely a place where we can experience psychological safety. So let's continue to do what we can to in order to make church a safe place for women. All right. So that's all I have to say about why it's important for women to have psychological safety at church. Because again, we're not trying to make women sicker. We are trying to heal, and we are trying to help women to live that abundant life that Jesus promised. All right. So, any questions?